pack here is Mr. Chen Yingzhu, who's Vice President of Huawei Oil, Gas and Mining. Amin Al-Jaber, please do all take a seat, don't wait for me, who is Chief Information Officer at Nesma and Partners. Helena Hedblom, President and CEO of Epiroc. Craig Miller, who's the CEO of Anglo-American Platinum, and Dr. Fadi Trabzuni, who is the Managing Director of Advanced Metal Industries Cluster Company, AMIC. Thank you all very much indeed for joining me here on an extremely important area, as I said, for a sector which is not renowned for being the fastest mover in the field when it comes to issues of technology. Helena, I'm going to plump for you right in the middle to get us going on this. What are the, if you like, the choice areas? Your job is to bring innovative and high-tech measures into this sector, often for reasons of safety, in fact. Where's the richest seam?
If I look on the shifts that are shaping these industries right now, you know, we have automation, we have electrification and digitalization. The last 5-10 years, we have been busy rolling out autonomous solutions globally, and what we see is that it really drives safety, it drives productivity, and there's a lot of benefits to that. What we are busy developing right now is then mixed fleet automation, how to then create these fully autonomous solutions, not only with the equipment used in mining, but also all the utility vehicles. So right now, if I summarize where we are, we have more than 3,000 driverless machines across the globe. And of course, that brings safety, it takes away people from the dangerous places in mining. On electrification, it goes slower. We have committed ourselves that we will have our full assortment, both for underground machines as well as for surface machines, ready by 2030. Today we have 40% of the assortment in a fossil-free version, but it's only 4% of our revenue. So clearly there is still quite a lot ahead of us when it comes to transforming this industry together to become more sustainable.
You talk about, 3,000 driverless vehicles at this point. What's the pace of acceleration on this sort of figure? Because it sounds like an impressive number. I couldn't say what percentage that is of the world's mining vehicles. But
it's growing very, very fast. We're up 30% in 1 year when it comes to driverless machines. So I think this is in full rollout across the globe, and that's very, very good to see. What I would like to see is the same thing happening now when it comes to the fossil-free versions that we have, and that's battery equipment, it's electric equipment, or different type of hybrids.
Okay, so, but you feel you've hit a tipping point, at least on driverless?
Yes, absolutely.
Which is obviously an important start. Fadi, could I bring you in? The company is working in the titanium value chain. What sort of technological developments have you brought in to make that difference, to advance the process?
Thank you. Thank you for having me today, and thanks for the participants as well. The titanium value chain goes all the way from the mines to the final products. The one common thing in that titanium value chain is titanium. And extracting the titanium from the mines is an area that the kingdom is trying to develop. Of course, other countries have already made a lead into that, and we are sourcing some of those materials to convert them into other titanium compounds in the kingdom. Like we have built the largest smelters of titanium in Jazan, where it is located on the south borders of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. That experience was very enriching, not only for us, but also for the titanium smelting space, because these furnaces are the first to be built after about 25-30 years from the last smelter that was built. So you can ask about the know-how, where is that knowledge was returned, and what technological developments need to happen in order to co-op with the not only the environmental and safety regulations of today, but also for the client and the requirements on the ever-improving specs of those products. So there were some technological developments. It has been challenging at the early stage of development. However, as in other areas in mining and mineral processing, you have to be patient. You have to really be determined to do this. And today we celebrate that these products are being made for the first time in the kingdom, and we are growing into those smelters capacity and making more and more for our clients that building relationship, trust, and so on.
I'm interested, you talk about patience there, but also 25 years since the last smelter was built. In terms of a quantum leap technologically, has it been that, or is it still built very much on the sort of the solid base of the previous smelter plant?
Yeah, it is not impossible, but it is hard to see every day a development in these sectors. However, it depends on the courage and the will. And those developments will pay back as soon as they are matured and they are proven. There are a couple of developments that we have made in those furnaces that is showing today that makes better yield for the main product that we make and reduce the side products, as well as how to control the products in a way that it meets and exceed the expectations of the clients. Also, that knowledge has been back integrated into the material that we use and feed to those furnaces. So that knowledge is very rich and very important that we learn and start that journey sometime so we can reach to that maturity level that we are seeking.
Right, so you can see the advance there. Craig, it's a similar question for you really, but in terms of Anglo-American Platinum, what are can you illustrate the sort of technological disruptors that have come in to enhance your production and your product?
Yeah, thanks very much, and it's a pleasure to be here. We've certainly, I think, just reflecting when we were discussing a little bit earlier, what we do as a platinum group metal producer, effectively we take a ton of material and we produce 3 grams of platinum group metals. And you do that through technology, yeah? So not only through the mining, but through the smelting and the processing. And certainly, I think, as an industry, embracing technology has been at the forefront of what we do. And as a consequence of that, embracing technology going forward from a future demand perspective. But if I can just pick up on Helena's point around, technology, what it's made, certainly helps with safety. And through the technology advancements that we've seen in mining, we've been able to reduce injuries at our operations by almost 100%. So I think we're down to about 93% reduction over the last 15 years. But importantly, through the technology, through the collaboration and partnership that we have with others, you're able to improve the inclusion of your workforce. So previously being very male, strong dominated, as a result of where we utilize technology in our business today, far greater participation of females in core mining and processing capabilities. And I think that's a real a positive and something that we need to continue to embrace as we look to develop the metals for the future. And then finally, just in terms of the future demand, today, 65% of my product gets used in the automotive sector, in the internal combustion engines. But as we look to the electrification of the drivetrain, the opportunity in terms of where PGMs are used in hydrogen production, green hydrogen production, and ultimately in fuel cells, which will then power buses, trains, light-duty vehicles. That's really the opportunity, and that continued development of innovation is really exciting for us as a business going forward. So yeah, absolutely embracing it, and it's not without its challenges, and navigating that as a mining company But it's certainly, embracing this, and it's not new for us as an industry, and what people will get to experience in the kingdom.
You made a good point that it can clearly disrupt your markets at times, as it has done, but it would be interesting to come back to that in a moment. Mr. Chen, I want to turn to you, because there's a very compelling argument, I think, to say technology will enhance safety. Now, who's not going to listen to that? I wonder what you find have been what's been the speed of technological change coming into the minerals sector?
I think at this moment, more and more companies will bring the new technology to the traditional industry to bring the new vitality. We believe like innovation and cooperation and development will be the only part to stimulate the enterprise potential. So for this part, we will continue to invest more to bring this new technology for the industry, especially like for the mining in the industry. We set up a dedicated mining business unit since year 2021.
Right.
Then we try to work close with the partner, and we send in like more than 100 R&D experts to understand the mining. And the experts living in the mining and work together with the workers, and then try to understand the difficulties and challenges. Then we introduce the new technology into.
So what did they find? And what are the areas within mining that seem the most appropriate for developing with technology? Are we talking about exploration, excavation, production, safety, which we've talked about?
Yeah, actually, this part we considering the key for that part is like improve the production efficiency, and we need to reduce the power consumption and ensure the safety for people. This is most important for the new technologies.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much indeed for that. If we could just focus then for a moment, you're from immediately outside the sector, you're in construction. So where do you fit in this? Why are you sitting here?
All right, thank you for the question. I represent Nesma and Partners, and we are in the business of engineering and construction in Saudi Arabia, and we've been involved in many of the major construction, whether it's infrastructure or buildings or industry. And our role to support the mining industry is basically to support them in the construction of the facilities required for processing and throughout the value chain, obviously. And we're seeing in our construction business a heavy use of technology, whether it's in the form of, definitely in the industrial business line that we're operating in. We've seen a trend in what is called digital twin, whereby it's easier for you to better understand the operation of the facility, to really monitor it, but also which is done during the construction. And once it's constructed, it's much better and easier way to optimize it throughout the process. And I believe since the focus on certain minerals might change throughout the future, there is that need to have facilities which are what you might call a modular, so it can be repurposed throughout. So that to be able to build that kind of facility, definitely it will involve a lot of technology in place, so you can leverage that investment and really use it depending on how the trend is going in terms of what is required.
And can I ask you then, do you see, is construction ahead of the mineral sector, if I could put it that way? Are you bringing lessons to the mining sector, or is it perhaps a mutual learning?
I think in general, construction has always been, I think compared to other industries, a bit lagging behind, at least was perceived to be lagging behind in terms of utilizing technology. But going forward now, we're seeing an upscale and utilizing technology. And what we can bring to the table is really the experience that we're getting from various industries that we're doing construction in, and what can any of that be really used in the mining industry. So I cannot say we're ahead of it, but we have the luxury to see it up front in many other industries, and then see what is potentially can be applied in the mining industry as well.
Yeah, interesting. Helen, I'm intrigued by the take-up, the interest, the readiness to move into new technologies. You've brought up driverless vehicles. And that obviously has to be a decision taken at the top. Bringing them into play and having them operate amongst those on the ground, if you like, that can't be a straightforward proposition. A, you're losing drivers, and B, you're asking them to operate machinery they've not had to operate before, and they're used to diesel. I mean, they know what they're doing with diesel. How difficult has it been to integrate that sort of thing?
I do see that our business is, moving away from being transactional to becoming much more of a partnership with our customers. To implement autonomous solutions or driverless solutions, it requires quite a lot of change management, both on our end, but also at our customers' side. So very often we enter into partnership, a project, and we work together for many years, starting with a teleremote solution, upskilling the operators also to be keen on actually trusting the technology, and eventually these operators can be in a control room thousands of kilometers away from the mine eventually. But of course, this is a journey. So we are doing this journey together with our customers now globally. So it's very much a partnership, and it's about upskilling also on our end. Our technicians that are working on site needs to also have the competence then to find the root cause when sensors are down or the network is down. It's new type of challenges, because in the end, this solution needs to work 24/7 in very remote places.
But that's a really important point, isn't it? If you can talk about all the technology advances you like, if you don't have the network, the connectivity, it's pointless. And
yes.
How much of there's a lot of nodding of heads there. How much of a challenge is that?
It is a challenge. When we started to roll out autonomous solutions, let's say 7-8 years ago, this was actually the bottleneck we saw in each and every project. So we acquired a connectivity provider ourselves to get that competence inside the organization, to understand this and to have the competence, and also to be able to help our customers to build a solution rather than just sell a machine. And we have done the same on electrification, because also there we foresee that only put battery electric machines in a mine, that's one thing, but for the solution to work, the electrical infrastructure underground needs to be designed for a full BEV fleet, and that's a different competence needed. So we have also acquired 2 companies with that capability, with those capabilities. So we're trying to become more of a. We believe that this is a solution that we need to bring to the market, because it's not just it's many different components that needs to go into this.
And if I can add, I mean, absolutely, having the right connectivity and the infrastructure in place is key. I can cite an example of where offshore rigs currently, I mean, part of what we've worked on with the sister company, these rigs are obviously dangerous, so you can see the resemblance in terms of the mining business as well. So these rigs, with the technology of digital twins and obviously depending heavily on the connectivity, now they are able to monitor it remotely and moving towards an autonomous operation in place. So the more connectivity you can establish, and also the technology around those equipments involved in the mining, then you can really move towards autonomous kind of operations possible. And we've seen it possible in other industries as well. So something that can definitely be learned from and used in the mining industry.
Just briefly, Craig, is connectivity still an issue, or are you over that now? I mean,
So I think it really depends on the nature of some of the mining. So, you know, an open pit, open cast mine, that's relatively easy.
Yeah.
When you're sort of, you know, a kilometer and a half underground, and some of the conventional mining areas where we're still doing mining, that's more of a challenge. But that being said, through technology, you know, frankly, also the cost associated with that's certainly got cheaper and much more advanced. And so the connectivity becomes a little bit less of the constraint. But it's more then you're into sort of the robustness of the equipment, your point around the change management associated with the mining itself, the maintenance, the engineering, etc. Those are where some of the efforts and the focuses are now directed towards. But by and large, I think, you know, that there is a recognition that as an industry, if we're going to meet the challenges that are, or the opportunities that are required for us to satisfy the world as we go through this energy transition, we're going to have to be much more adaptive and quicker at adopting this technology. And so
it's interesting, you talk about the cost, and that is frightening, of course, but it's no longer a desirable, is it? It feels like it's turned into a must-have. You've got to stay up with the technology. And actually, Mr. Chen, I want to bring you in on that, though. Let's look at AI, the greatest consumer of energy of them all, it seems to be. But where is AI-led production working? Where are you finding that it sort of comes into play in the mining sector?
Yeah, I think AI has been widely used in the mining industry. Like in China, Huawei, we work together with the mining company we call Shandong Energy. And we work together based on Huawei Pangu large model. Then we generate the AI application for the more than 80 scenarios for the production scenarios. And this AI application can quickly duplicate to more than 60 miles. And this can improve a lot for the production in the various aspects of the production process, such as excavation, transportation, and ventilation. We can see the safety and the efficiency has been significantly improved.
And has that been easy to persuade the mining sector of the value of that?
Yes, because for example, like in those one scenario, like in the, because you mean in the coal company, they have the scenario like the coal blending of coking. This scenario, AI can ensure the in average prediction actually is higher than 95%. And the prediction time reduced from previous 2 days to 1 minute.
Right.
Yeah, this is really improved efficiency. And this AI can improve the business result for the company as well. Yeah.
That's the proof of the pudding, I think, in terms of value of AI. Let me come back to Craig, to something I think you touched on really earlier, which is also about the technological developments of use of minerals. And of course, if you're operating in one particular sector, like the platinum group, that can have a very direct impact on you, on your business, even on almost a daily change. And I wonder, when we talk about technological disruption, it's not all positive, is it?
Well, no, it's not entirely always positive. I suppose there's an element of uncertainty, and that's certainly something that we're working through at the moment as an industry, given sort of the transition from internal combustion engine vehicles to electric vehicles. And electric vehicles today don't contain any PGMs, but we're working hard to see how we can sort of incorporate that, because the properties of platinum group metals in terms of what they've done from a emissions reduction perspective and in automotives, we certainly think there's a number of properties that we can utilize them in the future. But it's certainly, for us as a company, what we recognize that continuing with that innovation and that technology advancement is fundamentally what we need to do. Creating demand segments for our product is part of what we are as Anglo American Platinum. And we're actively participating in those future use cases. So, we've not only advancing the utilization of PGMs in hydrogen production and mobility, which I spoke to, but also in everyday uses. So, for example, in food freshness extension, if you actually have a tiny platinum component in some of your refrigeration, you can extend the life of fresh food, actually, which in a world where populations are growing, your food resources becoming more scarce, these are opportunities for us. So yes, technology is a disruption, and it's a positive disruption, and it does cause uncertainty in current markets. But it is certainly an opportunity and something which we're exploiting quite seriously as a company.
Is that a recent discovery?
Yeah, we've been working on that for the last couple of years, and it's actually been trialed and tested quite extensively in China and then also in Japan. And some really positive results. But those are just small anecdotes. It's PGM's utilization in now supporting AI and crucibles used in 5G networks, et cetera, et cetera. These are all sort of incremental uses of PGMs which support technology development. It's fascinating.
Well, it's certainly fascinating. Fadi, do you see the same impact in terms of technology changing perhaps the applications for titanium?
I would like to comment on the technology disruption drivers, because today we see that most of the technology disruptions are driven by sustainability goals and decarbonization. And this is a very important topic also to be considered as we go and develop more and more of the capabilities, the efficiencies of the mineral processing. Because if we see where this industry has grown and the market has grown, has shifted from one market to another market from time to time, it depends on the product applications. And this is where the opportunity now, as decarbonization, sustainability is a very important topic for all of us in the future. And this is where the integration of a value chain comes into play. Because some of those technology disruptions requires where we can link up the different process steps to make it more efficient and reduce the tens of thousands of kilometers of distances that need to be traveled by materials today to go all the way from where we have extracted its form, extracted from the ground to the final product that goes into the applications. And the titanium, as we know, has been evolving in its application. Today we see the new generation aircrafts use more of titanium, which also helps sustainability goals. And as we know, titanium metal is the most friendly metal for the human body. And that is, something that has been developing since a long time.
It's interesting you mentioned integration, which is, of course, where construction can come in and play its part. We can talk about transport, which we did earlier. It has to be part of a whole, I mean.
Oh, definitely. I mean, this is aligned to what I mentioned earlier is, use of the final product is one thing, but also the process and repurposing those facilities to be able to process different kinds of products and to be dynamic enough to be able to change it. That's key to the construction as well of these facilities.
Just one last thought, Fadi, you mentioned recycling, which we haven't really got into particularly here. Absolutely ripe for technological disruption and improvement. Are we seeing, are we seeing enough of it? Probably no. How far can the application go? How much potential is there in that? I don't know who'd like to pick up on that. Helena?
I can say some words what we are doing. I see a great opportunity to prolong the life of both mining and construction equipment. So that's a lot of the type of service products that we are developing right now and that we also see are taking off in a really good way. So to push the life of the equipment by reusing, remanufacturing components, that I think that's the future. And and I see that on the fleet that we have out in the world, the age of that fleet is growing older every quarter.
Fadi, recycling for you?
Today we have implemented a technological development in the titanium value chain where our metal sponge plant has been recently built in Yanbu Industrial City on the Red Sea. And we have developed a raw material delivery and the recycle back of the carrier material with our partners, Tronox, who are leaders in titanium industry. So this is the only plant in the world that is connected through a pipeline of raw material supply and the recycle of a chlorine bag, which really put a lot of efficiencies. So the recycle of the reuse of the material within the same process, which was established, and there are other examples that are on the way as well.
So it's working, it's coming. It's a work in progress, I think is probably the reality of it, in a sector that is not renowned for being fleet of foot, if I could use that expression. Thank you so much for contributing to where we are in terms of technology as the disruptor, the critical disruptor there. Ladies and gentlemen, please express your appreciation to our panel. Thank you very much indeed. Many thanks.